And 6 years since the advent of devolution, counties are still struggling to stay afloat as they suffer a serious cash crunch. Now, the Auditor General's report indicating 38 out of 47 counties spend most of their allocations on recurrent expenditure, unable to reduce this cost. But county bosses say a bloated workforce, some inherited from the defunct county council, is to blame. We begin our special coverage of the upcoming devolution conference with this report from Sam Ogina.
A burden shouldered by residents in Tharaka-Nithi County in search of water, and water is life. But 6 years since the advent of devolution, some say they're yet to see meaningful transformation in their livelihoods in the counties. Tharaka-Nithi being one of the 38 counties that gobbles up billions of shillings in recurrent expenditure and very little spared for development. But governors are blaming the transition from the defunct local governments to county governments that carried forward old stuff into the new form of governance.
So what the county governments are facing, and Tharaka-Nithi is not exceptional to this, is a lot of employees who are in the lower cadre who do not have the skilled labor that you require, and they are earning too much money.
The bloated structure meaning most of the county budgetary allocation goes to payment of staff salaries. According to the Auditor General, counties have spent 47.4 billion shillings on recurrent expenditure. As such, Nairobi City County leads the pack, being the highest spender in payment of its workforce, with 4.27 billion shillings spent on recurrent expenditure, followed closely by Machakos and Kisumu counties.
We have a bloated county government staff. So that is a challenge that's going to take time through probably natural attrition and through retrenchment.
In Nyeri County, for instance, the county has employed 3,900 members of staff. It spends over 5 billion shillings on recurrent expenditure, while nearly only half of that goes to development projects. Its annual revenue collection just skin deep at 760 million shillings. Kwale County has a workforce of 3,939 employees, but out of a budget allocation of 9 billion shillings, more than half of that goes to recurrent expenditure, while 4 billion shillings remains for development. Counties scratching their heads on how to raise their own revenue to complement allocation from the national government.
But I need to be able to tax the guy who is doing a building of 2 billion at the university. I need to be able to tax the guy who has decided to do maybe a hostel of 50 million. Unfortunately, those are the people who also have the resources to resist. And sometimes they don't do it themselves. They use Mama Mboga and the hawkers because they generalize and say we are being overtaxed.
Tharaka-Nithi County managing to collect slightly over 200 million shillings annually to plug the gap in the development budget, which is not even enough. In Vihiga County, with a workforce of nearly 2,000 employees, out of the 4.5 billion shillings budgetary allocation, only 1.5 billion shillings is left for development. The county boss is also blaming its complicit employees for sometimes colluding to defraud the devolved units of revenue collection through sabotage.
How many of them end up being in the store and they have not reached their lifespan? Because those guys put them in water. Sometimes they do crazy things on them, expose them to heat, just to make sure they get spoiled and they can go back to manual.
The challenge is how to reduce spending on recurrent expenditure and channel more funds to development to elevate the burden being shouldered by such women in search of water.